Yeah, no, I took my first two turn with the 56 this year and like tried to go just way too fast. I just got thrown around. Finally got patient with one. I think it took me three or four to get it settled in, right?
Yeah.
And like everything lined up decent, get like a decent lift, and just it's a little disappointing, right? Like the
Yeah.
56 just doesn't go anywhere in comparison to the
No.
42.
No.
Like you put all that
Yeah.
effort in, and then it's just there.
Hmm. Yeah. You feel like you like just a couple steps and you're already out to it. It's like right there. Did you
You know,
did you see Kyle Lilly's heavyweight post the other day? It was, I think it
no,
was
I
his
haven't.
first
No.
time. Oh man, it was his first time throwing heavyweight this year. I think is what he said. Dude, he's swinging that thing around like it's a lightweight, like it's a 28, and it makes me so mad. Like, like that is like he's like really high and like that huge backswing, and I'm like, how do you do that and not just topple over?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest hurdle with the 56. As long as I'm remembering to be patient, anyway, is like having the confidence to like actually put it into the orbit it needs to be in,
Yeah,
because
instead of just
it feels
dragging
like
it
it's just
around.
gonna just pull
Yeah.
me out of. But it's fine. You just gotta let it do its thing.
Yeah, like the heavyweight throws for me that I'm like always like the most just comfortable going through the motions is like it's always just like I'm never like out. It's always my arms always kind of like it's just swinging around me like really low,
Mm.
and I'm like, damn it, like it's just this doesn't bother me. It's when I really start to crank on it where I'm like, the heavyweight sucks, but it goes way further when I do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't want to put it like all the way out to the positioning I do with the 42 or the 28, but
Hmm.
I still need to.
Yeah. Yeah, the 56 is it's a silly weight, and I'll stand by that.
I
But
I still firmly believe it is a little bit easier to get a good throw out of a 56 than it is any of the other weights.
I think you're wrong, but I mean, I guess it depends on what you call like a good throw. Because like to me, a good throw would be at PR distance, and I could argue the 42 might be easier to hit like around your consistent like PR number. You know what I
I've,
mean?
I mean, maybe, and maybe it's I have too small of a sample size, but in the last 3 years, I've thrown the 56 in a game three times, and my best throw each time has been within a foot.
Hmm.
I don't I have minimal practice going into it, and maybe that's the problem. But then they're decent throws, right?
Yeah.
It's like I think the worst was like 31 to 32.6. Like they're all in that range. Foot and a half, I
Right.
guess not, but
They're close.
they're close and they're decent throws.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But like the 28, my range is like 54 to 63 or something.
Yeah. Well, and
Like it's easier to go wrong
yeah,
because it's a
maybe
faster throw.
yeah, I think some of that too just it could be like the type of weight that like you'd be using because if you doesn't matter if it's like a D handle or a ring handle, if you're not using the 56 very often, like it kind of doesn't matter. It's going to hurt your hand no matter what. It's going to pull you the way it's not supposed to. But like we all throw the 28, so if you're used to a D handle and you're throwing a ring handle or something like that could drop feet like 6, 7, 8 feet off of like a throw just because that's not what you're used to. The release is different. I don't know.
I just feel like with the 56, as long as you're not rushing it, which is hard to do.
Mm,
But as long as you're not rushing the throw, you have so much time to make sure you're in positions and doing what you're supposed to do versus the 28 or even the 42 where you can just kind of go and
yeah.
you don't really have time to think about it. You just have to go.
Yeah. I look back at some of my old videos of throwing the 42. I think it looks very similar to me throwing the 56 now. I think that means I might have gotten better. I don't know, but they're similar. Like it's not like I'm not as slow as I used to be with it, which is neat.
That is neat.
Yeah.
You you had good days and bad days with the 42 though, right?
Yeah, I had good days in
Like
as a
yeah,
lightweight.
you as a lightweight you had fairly big swings on your
Yeah.
best throws, I feel like.
And that would be with like with the lightweight and the heavy, the 28 and the 42. I'd be all over the place one day, and then the next day I'd be dialed in, touching like
Mm.
69 or whatever.
Hmm.
But weights are tough when you weigh 200 pounds and you want to go just fast as shit, like because like you can you can move like super fast. Just you're gonna blow right through every position when you're not supposed to, but because you can move
Like,
fast.
well, you just have smaller margins.
Right.
Like you can move fast, but you have to do it at exactly the right time.
Yeah. Well, it's like I mean that's how you get a good throw too, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not as fast as I was when I weighed 200 pounds, but I'm stronger for it. So
well, that's something.
yeah, being strong is pretty sweet. You want to get into some of these topics?
Yeah, yeah. So the one I don't think I really touched on wanting to cover, and then I thought about it more. Um, why you tend to see the spin more than the glide?
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. Let me break this down real
Because I
quick.
do.
So so I reached out on Instagram and got a bunch of questions or a bunch of topics from people to kind of talk about what they want us to talk about, right? And some of them are good. Uh, some of them are bad. Some are just nonsense. Got some nonsense. And some of these we're not going to talk about just because like it's a bigger topic that would be better suited for a guest that
Not
kind of
me.
knows, yeah, a guest that knows like what they're talking about on like certain things, and that'll make for a better episode. But we're going to kind of go through the hot topics, the quick and dirty ones that we have a thing to say about. And so one question we got was, why do you think so many go for like a rotation versus a glide? And I've got opinions. Austin, what's your opinion?
So first, the spin looks cooler. And I think that is a factor.
Yes,
Um,
I think that's a big thing.
two, I don't think the glide is nearly as easy as people think it is.
That's yes. Yeah.
But I think but three, and I think this is the most important one, is you're not rewarded for consistency unless you're at a championship. And so for most of us, like most of our season is geared around hitting big throws to get invitations to national championship or whatever invitational we're shooting for. And if we go to 10 games, we only need to hit a big open stone one time.
Right.
And the rotation gives you that opportunity a little bit better than the glide does.
Yeah. So this is what I talked about with Amarissa because she's a glider, and because like I was always told, and I do believe this, she's doesn't quite believe it as much that I think like a full, especially talking about like full rotational technique, that that has such a higher potential of going far than a good glide does for most people. because most people aren't 6'7", like, and like slender and get like that good kickback and like just that giant like spring that you get with a glide. Most people are better suited for an MSA or some kind of rotational throw. But I think the upper end is higher on a rotation than a glide.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
mean
make sense?
it is more. It does. I agree. Um, or at least that's what I've been told.
I
Uh,
believe it.
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the spin's definitely more dependent on the throwing field,
Hmm.
as if you're gonna be able to connect with it or not.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I think,
this is a thing that I tell everyone. Like there are two things that I don't like to do, but I think are useful to have, right? And one is a halfway decent glide because there are some games. Generally, once a year, you're going to be throwing in the rain. If you travel around, you're going to hit rain at least one of the times. And it's going to be a muddy mess, and spinning on muddy ground like isn't great. It is.
not ideal.
Yeah. So, but you can glide halfway decent because I mean you're going a straight line. You're not doing a bunch of pivoting. Like you can kind of make that happen. So find a decent enough glide that this cat's showing you its butthole. It's like look at this thing. I don't know why they like to do that. Little perverts.
Favorite cat pastime.
But the next thing I think that everyone should have along with a glide is a decent one turn, right? Because you're going to run into these times. Maybe it's not every year. Maybe it's every other year. But your weights, like you're fouling and you got like one throw left, and you're looking at the field and you're like, okay, if I just pull out my average one turn number, I'm not going to get last place in this event. And you can do it, and you have that little tool in your toolbox to not get last. But there are other times, like if you're like, okay, even my one turn's not going to get me out of last place in this event, might as well just go for that third and just take the L, or maybe have a big one. That's it.
Right.
Like that's a tool to have for like championships and things like that, where like winning kind of matters and points really matter. You're not just playing for heavyweight or heavy hammer this one day, which when you're chasing championships trying to get in, especially as like a lightweight and a masters, you you go to one field for a stone, a specific stone. You go to one field for a specific sheaf to get these numbers to move you on, right? But
Right.
I think a glide's good to have. The main reason I switched from a glide, so like I started like most people, right? Without a throwing background, you do stand throws and then you shuffle. As what's Brebner call it, the Victorian shuffle, the Victorian era shuffle, and then I moved
We
to a
don't just
glide.
call it the truffle shuffle.
Not when you're a lightweight. It's just it's a little more regal than that. As a heavyweight, yeah, that's a truffle shuffle. And then once you're like, oh, I'm getting better, I should learn to glide because that's the move. You find out that gliding is actually hard to do it correctly. Like it's very difficult because what I found, especially for me, and I know from seeing a lot of guys are the same way. They can shuffle the same distance as they can glide, and when I found that out, I was like, well, I'm gonna start rotating because it looks cooler. Your kilt blows up, give everyone a little bit of a show. Everyone
Mm.
likes to spin. It just looks better. And I stuck with that for a long time. And then now I'm on like the full like shot put style rotational technique, and it's a path I shouldn't have gone down. But I'm in the throes of it right now, coming off of concrete onto grass.
Oh yeah.
It's not as easy as one might think. If one thinks it's easy, it's not.
Yeah. Because I same thing. I skipped the truffle shuffle altogether.
Mm,
Um, well, and so my very first games, I did a clinic with Francis Brebner the day before,
hmm.
and he showed me how to do MSA. So I actually, my very first games, I had a decent MSA. You can look up the numbers if you want. They're pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, if you look across the board, my stones were actually pretty solid in comparison to everything else, and that quickly changed. But
Mm.
so then when I started practicing, I lost whatever Francis had taught me, and so was still doing a stand throw as one of my throws for games for 2 or 3 years, and I tried the glide for a while, and I got it to where I would throw farther with the glide in practice, but never at a games. Like for whatever reason, it just didn't work when I needed it to. So then I'm like, fine, I'll just figure out the spin. It looks cooler anyway.
It looks cooler anyways. Do you know off the top of your head what your open stone was from your first games?
I want to say, because you pulled it up,
I did. I pulled it up. I
I
was
want to say it's
curious.
like 26.
Oh, you'll be glad then. It's 28.6. So
Oh,
yeah, but I think you're right across the board. Like the stones are not the most upsetting numbers on that day. So that's cool.
my heavyweight though, so good.
It was like 12.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Uh,
just for comparison, I'm gonna pull mine up because when I first started, right, the uh, the only event I had, like the only thing I had access to was a stone. I didn't have weights or hammers or anything, and so I practiced that for like 5 months because I signed up like real early, and I didn't know where to find like
mm,
other games. So like I just kept going to like the same shop at Circle every day and just throwing this stone around. But my first one was 39 even, which kind of jazzed about, considering like when
yeah.
I was, because I was gliding when I was doing it, right? Because that's what man, it was kind of a shuffle too, because it wasn't a good glide because I was like, I wasn't facing like back, away from the sector when I started. I was kind of facing the side, but I still kind of kicked my left leg back like I was doing something that like resembled a glide. But we have like what 7 feet 6 inches to work with. I was
Yeah.
utilizing about 4.5 feet of that because
Perfect.
yeah, the first throw like I was like I was like 3 feet away from the trig, and like they're like, "Oh, you should go up a little bit, choke up on the bat." And I was like, "Okay."
You're just doing a shuffle with some flair.
Yeah, that that was a fun day. I shuffling was where was that? My
And that was
heavyweight.
the pro-am up in Omaha.
No, this would have been Topeka, the one of the last Topeka games, and it was a. I almost won. I was very close. I was like a point away from getting first. My first games.
Right.
I tried really hard and believed in myself.
Topeka was actually the first games I won.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one? Which Topeka games? What year? Was it 2018? The one I was at?
Mm, no, it would have been earlier than that. Uh, 15 or 16, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Probably
that
16.
the my first games, they gave me the stick to mark as you do. Everyone at some point in the day is going to mark,
Mhm.
and I knew that was a bad idea because I was looking around at everything, just admiring it all, and someone threw the heavyweight, and I'm pretty sure it was the heavyweight. I wasn't paying attention, and I see it land and like, or I see it roll, and then I start walking up to where like kind of around there, and I look at another guy, and he's like kind of just like he's like I don't know, just right there, and I was like okay. I think he ended up winning that event because I lost where I was at, and like because he was cheering, he was like holy crap, and I was like good job.
You can be chasing that for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I gave him like the best day there. He PR'd on heavyweight huge. But yeah, so after that one, I'm like, fucking pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to the glide. One, it looks cool, and two, I don't think most people are built for it, and they find that out pretty quickly when it just doesn't, when the glide's not going their way. But I think everyone should rotate because if we're out there spinning around, it looks cooler.
Yeah. And no one in the crowd can tell that it's not going that far.
Nope, because it's stones. It's all like in the same little glob, unless you're a freak and then just throw it over people's shoulders, and then that's cool.
Now, per the Nazca rule book, is the cartwheel legal or no?
It, I guess it would be legal, yes, but that's because there's nothing that says anything against it. I don't think. But I think these days we're moving away from the Nazca rules and we've got better ones now that are more
Sure.
all encompassing.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But last I checked, there was you could cartwheel a stone throw as long as you leave the trig out the back in control. I think that's the rules.
When you do, is it a cartwheel or is it more like a, do you put your hand down?
Yeah, you put your hand down.
That's still valid?
Depends. I mean, depends where you're at because some people say that if you touch yourself with your hands, that's a foul. Like if like you throw and like you're like stumbling and like somehow your hand like slaps your thigh, some people say that's a foul. That's just those are old head rules, and we don't listen to them anymore.
That doesn't, that's wild to me, but okay. No, because if you wanted to get technical, the stone is not from the ground's perspective above your shoulder in the cartwheel for a section of it.
You can stay in. Okay, what I'm reading here. Okay. Oh, whoa. A throw will be a foul if the competitor touches the ground as defined in Figure 1. That's Figure 1 for those of you who can't see. Eh, or any surface of the trig other than the edge facing the throwing area. Other than the One of the competitor's feet must always remain in the throwing area on either side of the space directly above the throwing area. Okay. So if the competitor touches the ground, so I mean your feet are touching the ground.
Right? That's what I was
So
thinking.
so so your feet are touching the ground. They don't say your hands can't. So you can cartwheel into that bitch and just launch it up as long as you don't touch the ground again. Or is throwing area not counted as ground and the outside is ground?
No, well, because I think most people would agree that if you throw and then just get completely laid out for whatever reason, lost your balance, but you stayed in the trig, that's
Yeah.
still a foul.
So here we go. Yeah, oh, like if you just like fall down like into the trig kind of thing.
Yeah. Like you're still in the box completely, but you're just fully on the ground. Like most people, not everyone, but I feel most people call that a foul.
I think that might be legal because any part of here's a little caveat with the diagram. If I knew how to bring this over and show it to the world, I would. But go to NASGA, look at the rules, and there will be a diagram there. There's a white box, which is the 4 foot, 4.5 by 7.5 square or 9 rectangle, whatever. Rectangles are square. It says any part of the competitor may touch as long as he is under control. So you can't fall. Okay. You can't fall, but you can cartwheel. You can touch that shit if you want to, because that's the throwing area. Whatever means necessary. If you want to spin around with that thing like a discus, all power to you. I think those are the rules.
I don't know. It has to be, I think there is some language that has to be here.
From the shoulder, eh, maybe. Fine, cartwheel then. You can cartwheel.
Is it worth the effort to learn how to do that?
No, I'll tell you right now, no.
I feel
Those,
like there's going to be a lot of athletic directors that just tell you no.
yeah. Well, see, that's where it comes down to because we're not under anyone's control except the AD on the day. They can say whatever they want, and that is the rules. Whatever. I mean, I want to see someone like just for funsies really get that cartwheel nailed down and then just bust it out without saying anything to anyone. They just do it and then watch like the judge's head kind of like steam, like, trying to process whether it's cool or not. But to be fair, I don't think like those videos you saw, like I think it's like some high school girl that's doing it a bunch. I don't think those were going very far.
Yeah, I don't know because it's not a legal throw anymore, and I don't know why that is. Because it doesn't feel inherently any less safe
Hmm.
than a spin. Like, I fully understand why the spinning javelin is not allowed.
It's just too cool and people couldn't handle it. Yeah.
It's either that or the amount of javelins that went into the audience. I don't know.
No, it's just people are like, damn, dude, like leave some ladies for the rest of us.
So, to answer the question why so many people spin instead of glide, I believe the answer is they should be cartwheeling.
Yeah, I mean, just do whatever you think is the coolest method. Just do that. That because
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
looking cool is most of what we do, right? It's just trying to be cool.
It's why we're out there.
Yeah, and if anyone has anything different to say on that, they're wrong. Uh, let's move on to implement differences.
Hmm.
Because there are a lot of different implements out there. They all fall under the same like parameters outlined in like the NASGA rules. I mean, that's not the first place.
Section 6.2. That's not
Only if
accurate citing.
only if it were organized that well. It is not. But that's where like when I started, those were the lengths and weights everyone was like looking at and like what is proper and what is improper.
So let's go through event by event and talk about
Yeah, I
what
want to
those
hear.
differences and how you feel about them.
Yeah, I want to hear your
Because
preferences
I
on
actually,
these.
so for my preference, I'm going to start with stones.
Yeah.
I would 100% rather have a 17-pound open stone that was a decent shape than a perfectly 16-pound pyramid.
Yes, I would agree with that. But
So if you can't get a handle on it, it doesn't matter what it weighs, it's going to suck to throw.
right. But if I had
I
my
mean,
personal
ideally both.
preference, yeah, my personal preference would be no stone at all. We're throwing a 22-pound shot and a 16-pound shot, and that's what it is. That's what I would prefer. Because I mean that's a valid implement. Some
No,
say it's
actually,
not, but I believe it is.
what I would love to see is cast stones. So they have like kind of that oblong egg shape, but are like
Like
cast to
like a
exactly 16,
like a man-made stone,
manufactured.
or like a
Yeah,
stone that they've like honed down.
either way.
Okay. No, I say I prefer shots, but what I really prefer is like if we had to go with a stone, like a like from nature stone. There's one that they throw in the Northeast. It's a like a dinosaur egg. It's smooth, it's small, it's tight, and it's got a little bit of
The
taper on
dinosaur
it.
egg.
Yeah.
Dinosaur egg is the best shape.
Yep. Like you want a little bit of taper on it. You don't want it perfectly like oblonged. Like you need a little bit of
Yeah,
taper. Like that's peak stone right there.
yeah,
So
no, that's a good stone.
and I don't think people, unfortunately, I don't know if ADs or equipment people are putting too much thought into stones besides just weight. Like, is this making
Well,
weight?
and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's better in other parts of the country, but here in the Great Plains, it is hard to find decent stones.
Yeah, I would agree. But,
Like, the only thing, like, there's cobblestones you can find that make weight, but then they're really big and awkward.
mm,
And so I've spent a lot of time, and I don't have a good stone.
I stopped using a stone for practice just because a shot's more consistent. It's more consistent. I can work on throwing as opposed to holding it, right? It is, I don't have to
Yeah,
think about it. Because if like I had a
yeah,
stone, I got really used to throwing it. I held it a certain way that I liked and it went far when I did that. But anytime I go to a games, it's a different stone, so I got to relearn that. So might as well just cut all that out and just throw a perfectly round ball.
that being said, I would also suggest to transition to throwing shot after a couple years,
Yeah.
just because learning how to find the spot to throw stones is a skill
Yeah,
that I think once you get it, you don't need to like maintain it that much,
yeah.
but
Reading the stone
learn how to
is
do that.
difficult. And it's always been for me. It's always been easier to go from a shot to a stone, and then going from a stone to a shot, right?
Yes.
Because the size difference. It's just so much easier to get used to throwing that big hand as opposed to like the little thing for a shot.
Yeah.
But once you got this down, you can easily open it up and throw just fine. But so my tier list would be like, because I have another preference too. It's a shot, a like a dinosaur egg, and then the third one would be a pancake, like a square pancake. See, some people hate on the pancake, and I've had some success with a pancake because my PR was set with a pancake, and then I matched it a couple weeks later with like the dinosaur egg, I was within an inch or two from it. But
Right.
it sucks to tuck. It's not right. But like if I have a big flat surface to flick off of, like I'm going to get that flick pretty much every time. So,
Right.
but that's
Yeah.
those are my stones. What what's your weight preference?
Ring handle. Uh, Although
Philistine.
I'm not, it's just what's on mine is really what it comes down to. Ring handles are what I'm used to. D handles don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's the thicker D handle is less comfortable to throw. I mean,
Doug's
puts
D's.
more weight. Yeah, it puts more weight on the thumbnail versus getting it sunk all the way in on the hook grip. But other than that, I don't know that I've noticed like a huge swing distance wise on heavyweight. Lightweight, I think I'm I think I'm more the problem than the handle is on that one.
Yeah, I
And that, I think the actual weight distribution, I think if you get one with a compact weight with a longer chain, is just going to go farther.
yeah I like D handles. I used to throw rings all the time, and I'd tell people when I was really new, like, oh, I like the ring handle. It feels more natural. And I was just saying that because I heard other people say it and it sounded cool, like I knew I was talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I guess maybe it does for some people, but I found that like the way I started gripping, it's like very loose. Like these fingers, the pinky and the ring finger, kind of like just doing a little support work, but the real work is done like right in the middle, like right in the front. And so I had a really loose grip because I grip it from the front of the D, and then trying to do that grip on a ring handle, it's not going to be the same. You're going to have to like get in there deep, and I'm going to rip
Mm.
this callus off almost every time. Like it'll just try to pull it right off, and that wouldn't
Yeah.
happen
Well, and
had I
that's
been throwing rings.
I you can't really see it, but like I'll rip my hand open like down here,
Jesus.
on a ring handle. It just splits open, and I haven't
Yeah.
figured out why. Because it's not like where my thumb sits; it's like right in the middle.
You got soft
So I don't know what.
hands.
Uh, I I choose to believe that my hand is moving so fast at the finish that
Yeah,
it
you,
just splits
yep.
open.
I get that with hammers. I get like these vertical like pressure cracks like on my pads of my fingers, and I think it's just from like the pulling from the tacky. It just kind of boop pops it open, and they're so small you don't notice it until you like put the orange on there to clean it off, and then it's like ah. But I think going from ring handles to D's is a much easier transition than being like a D handle diva and then having to throw a ring. But maybe that's just
I
me.
could see
But
it.
yeah. But so I prefer the D. What I this is the thing that I'm trying to spread this around, trying to get the word out there. Anytime you use a clevis on a weight, because most weights are going to have a clevis at the top, holding it to the chain and holding the chain to the weight at the bottom, right? Two
Right.
clevises. Each clevis will take 2 feet off of your throw. So if you have two on there, your throw is going to be on average 4 feet shorter than it should be. I don't have all the data to back this up, but like I have enough to say that those are not good. We can use there's like the ones that are like chain looking, you know what I mean? Like the quick connect chain shaped ones. I think we should all
Okay.
transition
Yeah.
to those. I think it might be better, but anytime I've had a PR, it's with a dedicated weight for distance. You can't take the chain off, it's welded on there. You can't shorten it up to make a wob. I think those are the best. But most games don't have those because their heavyweight also needs to transition into a wob, and their men's lightweight needs to transition to a women's wob or have that ability to do that.
Right.
But in a perfect world, if I were commander of the universe, no quick connects, we're doing welded on chain, and that's the way it is.
And then honorable mention for I don't remember who makes them, but the weights that they have out in Mississippi. It's got the swivel
Oh yeah,
at the
Danny's
connector point.
Danny's 42.
Danny
It's a
Webster's
it's a
that's way too
Polanic
oh,
weight. The I, Polanic makes some of the best implements for like track and field, and they do make some Highland game stuff. But I think the biggest weight they make only goes to 42. I don't think they make a 56 Polanic. That's a that's a badass weight. It sure is.
yeah. Is it necessary? No. Is it super rad? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just when you get if you've never thrown one, like you get to that high point in your cast, and like usually the weight kind of binds up as you start pushing around, and it's just smooth transition into getting that weight going.
I know some people who don't like them. They want that kink in the chain. They want that feedback. And it's usually guys that are just fucking ripping through the trig. Like they kind of want that kink in it. I got a theory that if I spin it the right direction and then I get going, like it'll speed me up like an Olympic barbell with like nice bearings. You know, I, I haven't tested it because I haven't had too much access to them, but I don't know.
But you do it the wrong way, and
It just
it's gonna
slows you
kill
down
your
to a near
throw.
stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking here and they've got Polanic only has like it appears to be 28 and well maybe 56. What's 25 and a half kilos?
So the quick math pounds to kilos is
You
you
double it and add
double the
some.
pounds. No, it's easier than that. You double it, and then you add it the result to itself with the decimal place moved one spot. So 25 kilos, double it would be 50, then you add 5 pounds. That makes sense?
Oh, okay. Hey, that's actually pretty clever.
Yeah.
I like that
The
because
quick math is not too bad. You just double it and then add 10% of the result, essentially.
I what I do is I double it and then
Add a bit.
yeah, give an estimate based on like I think are we talking like 90 kilos? Like if we start getting into like the hundreds of pounds, then I'm like, okay, we're gonna add some more poundage, and then like yeah, I figure it out. I get in the ballpark, um, just so if I'm like talking to like a European and I tell them like, oh yeah, like what's that in pounds, and I get close, and then they're like, yeah, that's pretty close. I'm like, I'm trying to get in the ballpark. It's good enough for me.
Fun fact, the quick math is less accurate, but the quick math for feet to meters,
Hmm.
same thing, except triple.
Okay.
So 10, well, no, it doesn't work that way, but it's fine. It's the other way around. So it's 10 meters, 33 feet.
Yeah, that's I can get about to like 22 meters, 24 meters, and after that, I don't know what that is in feet. And that's just because of shot put. It's just watching enough shot put. Like I pick. Okay, so Polanic does. They only have the 28 and the 56. They don't have the 42 anymore. Interesting. Okay, well that's just a side note. Polanic weights are the bee's knees. If you like something that
Do they
spins.
have a price on there?
No. Well, let me check again. Nope. Yeah, it's Polanic. You got to request a price because they want you to buy 100 of them because that's all
It's
they.
probably, you could probably get that or a full set somewhere else.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but people have them everywhere. I think Kyle Lilly says he practices with a Polanic lightweight, which is badass because they're nice. Oh, before I forget, on a side note, back to the shots, the stones. I didn't realize this because every time I've tried to look to buy like shot puts, I always found like the super expensive ones, or like on Amazon they'll have like a 16-pound shot, and it's just a regular cast iron shot, and they'll be like $160 plus like a lot of shipping. And I went to VS Athletics the other day. Skylar Arneson turned me on to it. He's like, "Oh, dude," it's like I was looking at getting a 14-pound shot, and he's like, "Oh, they're like $35," and I was like, "What?" So at $35 plus shipping, I don't think anyone shouldn't have a shot to practice with. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean,
The cheapest
I
implement you
feel like
buy.
they're, yeah, I feel like if you go to your local sporting goods store, they'll have cast iron shots for pretty affordable.
I've never seen any, but like a play it again type of sports,
Yeah,
you think would have them. But I've never seen any there.
mine does, but we've also got UNL, and so there's a
Sure.
little bit more throwing stuff there. I think
Yeah.
even like the Shields here has cast iron. Like there's a pretty small section that's tucked away, and the employees don't know it's there, but
Yeah. But
there is.
I
Yeah.
just thought that was interesting because in previous times that I've looked, I always found like ones that are kind of expensive, and I'm like, well, I can do
Well,
without.
an indoor shot is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Like you can't get around that.
But I think
But the cast iron ones usually aren't bad if you.
but even the indoor ones that I saw, I wasn't mad at the price. Like I get it. It's not they're not $300, but they are
No.
like 120 kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm like if I need one, like I could pick one up. It's not like I don't know what's like a badass shot, like Nishi or something like that. Nishi, however you pronounce it, that Japanese
The
one.
wall ball.
They look cool. Wall ball.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Or is it wall? It's got the adjustable weight one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But either way, buy cool implements. And the clevises suck. Stop using clevises. They're only making us feel bad about ourselves. For those of us who equate our worth to how far we throw in Highland games. So I know a few of you
Everyone
out there.
listening here.
Yeah. Hammers. Do you have hammer preferences?
I mean, yes. I feel like hammer is the second most important implement distinction. Like
Okay.
it makes the second biggest difference in how you throw. Maybe the biggest difference. And the answer to throw the farthest is a half-inch handle with a hemisphere head.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't
agree.
think there's any question on that. Like that's just physics at that point.
Right. Uh, it's interesting because I mean, if you're comparing yourself to yourself, and you have just a regular big ball steel head on a 3/4 inch handle, everyone's going to throw it the same, right? Uh, if you're trying to compare that to your 1/2 inch handle with a hemisphere head, like they're night and day different. So I think for like when we're talking hammers, what's more important, and you really can't control this in any way, shape, or form, when it comes to like setting good numbers, whether it's a 1/2 inch handle or 3/4, is your ground, how soft it is, like how well your blades can hold, and something you can kind of control is like your tacky. I think those are more important when you're trying to like set PRs as opposed to just the 1/2 inch handle or 3/4. Does that make sense? I feel like I kind of rambled there about that.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, like if you're at a field and you have a choice,
Always take the half
the
inch.
the half inch is going to go farther.
Yes. Unless
Um,
unless you're
Now that
used to
being
like
said,
uh,
so I was going to say I don't feel like transitioning 3/4 to half is a thing. Like it's not really an issue. If you only practice with half and you're throwing 3/4, I think that'll throw you off a little bit more.
that'll don't yeah, don't practice with 1/2 inch handles. Even if you're going to a games that you know is going to be a 1/2 inch handle, it's not going to benefit you too much to like use the 1/2 inch for a week as opposed to 3/4. Just always use the 3/4 in practice. Because that way, like one, they're everywhere. 3/4 handles are most games. The 1/2 inch are the rarity, and it's kind of like throwing caber, right? Like I don't think you need to practice caber. I think you need to throw caber in competition and kind of get used to it. And once you learn it, you don't really have to practice. You just have to get stronger. With a 1/2 inch handle, you do it you do it enough in competition. You go to enough games that have a 1/2 inch handle. This might take a year, 2, 3 years before you like really figured out like, oh, that's my timing with this. It's a little bit more patient, but I can push on it way harder. But I just don't think you need to practice 1/2 inch handles. You can pick it up in
Uh,
competition.
yeah,
But like my see like hemisphere heads are good. You can't argue that because it's just more handle to whip, especially on a 1/2 inch handle. I I I almost prefer just for the sake of competition because most people aren't super good at throwing the hammer up. And that is like
mhm,
3/4 of the hammer throw is throwing that fucker sky high. It's an up and the out will automatically happen as it comes back down, right? Most people throw it kind of out. They turn their shoulders. They just twist it out, release it pretty flat, and that's when hammers handles break. And The hemisphere heads snap like crazy because most people throw them pretty flat. But if they're coming straight down, like that's not going to break them. Even then, hemisphere heads tend to break a little bit more. So in that
Right.
case, I would say just small lead head, no steel jacketing around the hammer, just a lead head. I think those are my preferred on a half-inch handle. There is a downside with lead heads. They get deformed as they use a bunch,
Yeah.
and like so like you let's say you break a handle and you're like, oh, I gotta get this thing out. With one that's like steel jacketed, it has like a little inner sleeve. You can pound that thing out usually pretty easy. But if it's a lead head, like it'll kind of like warp the inside of it, and then you're taking a chisel and a screwdriver and a hammer and you're just beating the piss out of it. Hopefully you're going to cut it out enough to where you can push the rest of the PVC out. That is a
Now, I
problem
will
with them.
say the coolest hammer I ever threw was my practice 16 on accident. And I had to fix it, unfortunately. But after several years of throwing it, I managed to put a hole in it, and it was a steel jacket, and then
Mhm.
it had, I think it's just concrete and maybe some shot inside of it, which is why I had to seal it back up. Um, but if you got your wines fast enough, it would whistle.
Hell yeah.
So that's pretty rad. But then the guts started falling out, so I had to weld it back shut.
Have you,
But just get Nerf football whistles and slap those on your hammers.
yeah, same thing. It'll work.
Yeah,
Have you ever used rattan handle?
I have not.
We do not get a lot of those in the Great Plains, unfortunately. They are
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know. I don't know why. Other than I guess it's a little bit more of a hassle to deal with because you have to soak them, right?
Yeah, I prefer them soaked. They have a lot more flex when they're soft, like when they're soaked with water. And replacing them isn't as simple as like a PVC, because PVC, like if it slides out, you slide a new one in, cut it off to the right length, and call it good. Rattan's like a little bit different. Like you gotta like pound it through there, then you gotta stake it like you would like an axe handle, and then you have to cut it off, and it's made of wood, so it's not like using PVC cutters and just snip right through it.
Right.
It's a problem. I like them, except I've had the head fly off of them before because they weren't staked as well as they could. And luckily, it was on like on the downstrokes when I came down and swung across. The head just launched off and just shot across the ground like a cannonball in like the
Yeah, I've had
Patriot. Is
that
it the
happen.
Patriot where that dude's
Yeah.
like cannonballs just bouncing, just cuts that dude in half? Patriot's a badass movie. Side note, Mel Gibson. That's what's up. But luckily, I didn't hit anyone. But because of that, I can't put rattan handles as like the number one. But they would be like number two. Are there caber preferences? Is that a thing?
Uh, I mean, I guess it'd be why where the challenge comes from. If it's hard to turn because it's long or because it's heavy. I mean, if you're using the formula, if you had two 700 point sticks and one of them is 20 pounds heavier and shorter, that's easier to turn.
I prefer the longer ones. Just because like you don't, especially in the Great Plains, you don't see them too often. Like 20 feet, 22
Mm-hmm.
feet long, you rarely ever
Yeah.
see that. So when I get a chance to like go somewhere and throw like ones that are 22, 23 feet, I'm like, fuck yeah, like this is new. Like it's not the same
Sure.
19-foot sticks that weigh like 110 pounds. I want like a big long one because the timing changes and the intensity kind of changes. Like that one we threw at in Idaho, Lightweight Worlds. That thing was long. That thing was like 23 feet long, and it was pretty rad. And I think the reason I won caber that is the only event I won all day, and it was the only event Scott Farr lost. And dude was on a tear, but I shut it down because I was just
Yeah.
so. I think I won because I was just so jazzed to throw like a completely different type of caber that I've thrown. Because here they're all just short and fat and
Well,
easy,
pretty much.
generally easy.
And I think we were all excited that Scott Farr didn't get 9 points that day.
Yeah, he was not thrilled, but he still won easily.
Oh, for sure. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like. I guess it was an 8 point thing, but so I think he had 9 points out of 8 events, and then second place had like 24 or something. Do you remember?
For at Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was. I think it was. It was. Yeah, it was 24, and third place was 24 and a half.
yeah,
Because Greg and I tied for second, and this was a thing. They broke the tie, so they gave someone half a point, and Greg was looking at the score sheet and he couldn't figure out why. And I can't do numbers, so my family who was watching on they were looking at ScottishScores.org because they were doing live scoring, and they're like, "Oh, Greg just got half a point, and we don't know where that came from." And I was like, well, I don't know. So Greg went and talked to the judges, and they're like, we don't know how this happened either. And so I go talk to the judges, and I go back into the scoring room, and or like where all the judges were handing in their paperwork and stuff. And I'm like, where did this half a point come from? They're like, okay, this is what we did. We're going to re-enter them all. So I watched them re-enter everything. I was like, yes, that's all. Everything's fine. And they're like, okay, now you and Greg are tied. And then I click this button. It's a red button at the bottom of the screen. It says break all ties. And it's like a part of the program with Scottish Scores. And then it gave me second place. And I was like, well, why? How did it do that? And they're like, hold on. Then they got to go back into like another page on Scottish Scores to find out why that button did what it did. And apparently, they used Caber as the determining factor. Whoever won the Caber event will get the other point or whatever.
hmm.
And and I was like, well, damn it, that sucks because we discussed in like the many group chats leading up to all these national championships and world championships that we determined one event is not greater than the other. So it can never come down to like who won WOB or who won Caber to like break a tie. It has to go down to like
Right.
first place event wins. And then I sit there for a second. I'm like, that's fucking Caber. I won Caber. And so like by their standard, I won because of Caber, and by our lightweight rules, I that's the only event I won, and Greg didn't win an event all day, and
Right.
so I won it there, and I was like, fuck yeah. But Scott, there's no beating Scott. I don't think he hasn't
Yeah.
thrown. He hasn't thrown in like 18 months. I still think he can beat me right now. I genuinely believe that. The dude's a freak.
If I'm having a good, like a really good day, and he is not dialed in,
Yeah.
I might be able to beat him on one.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Like
entirely
that's
possible.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
only thing.
Yeah.
I think if I'm having a really good day and he's having a really bad day, my open stone will beat his Braemar.
Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not guaranteed. All right, so what's that bring us
Oh
to?
yeah, yeah, Caber,
Sheaf.
yeah, Sheaf. The Sheaf's a weird one because I,
First of all,
uh,
let me just get this laid out at the beginning.
uh,
3 times are correct,
yeah,
and that's science.
yep, two times were wrong. All you two timers out
Um,
there.
Now, ignoring the pitchfork and looking at the actual implement,
Hmm.
which is what we're doing here today.
Well, we could talk pitchforks too, because I got some opinions.
There, I don't think the true cube versus the rectangular bag
Hmm.
makes a huge difference.
No,
I
I agree.
think,
I agree.
given the choice, I'll probably go for the cube, all other things being equal.
Yeah, I mean, like when it
But I
comes to
don't have a strong opinion about it.
yeah, when it comes to
That being
cubes,
said,
okay.
there's a third bag option that is not good. And it was the first like sheaf bag I had bought. And what it was a 15-pound bag of rubber mulch in some burlap.
That sucks. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for
those are
you.
bad. Yeah, well, and I ended up dumping it out into a cube and put maybe 10 layers of burlap. So I have a little bit more water resistant sheaf if I need it for something.
Hmm.
And that one works okay. Like that one's less noticeable, but like it sounds like a diaper, like a bag of diapers when it hits the ground.
Yeah,
Like those are bad.
I I'm a firm believer. There's only two things you should put in a sheaf bag, and it is like sisal twine or that like Brazilian jute or whatever, a natural fiber, and metal. Which metal is okay. I've seen it done, and I know Dave Glasgow's bags in Wichita. Inside some of his are like a welded glob of like railroad ties, just to add weight, and that way you can have like
Mm.
a bag that is semi loose, like it's not like the tightest thing ever, but it's weighed appropriately and it's a good size. That's the only reason why metal is included in there is because it can be useful if you do it correctly.
Have a
But like,
core, yeah.
yeah, but like the plastic, artificial, like the synthetic twine, no good. Rubber mulch, no good. Mulch, no good. It's twine or nothing and burlap. That's what sheaves should be made of. If anyone's doing anything different, they're wrong, and I'm gonna hold that down forever.
Yeah, and I mean, and sheaf bags, like when you're getting started out and you're collecting all your equipment, and like you don't, if you don't know how to weld, like you're
Mhm.
stuck. You're gonna have to buy something, and then you get to the sheaf bag. You're like, that's just baling twine and burlap. I can make that. Don't. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
They're awful to make. Just
Well,
pay someone.
to be fair, I've made every one of my sheaf bags.
And it sucked every time, didn't it?
No, that they're my favorite. I don't like anyone else's bags. I tolerate everyone else's bags. Mine are
No,
perfect.
but the process of making it is awful.
Yeah, I wish I could move my camera around, but I've got right behind me, I have like template boxes for a 16 and a 20 and a 12
See,
pound sheaf box or sheaf bag.
that probably makes a big
And
difference.
then
That
over
probably makes a big
here on
difference.
this end of the room, there is a box, a moving box full of twine and burlap and sewing materials. Making sheaves, if you are semi handy at making sheaves or at sewing and making things, sheaves are the easiest ones to do. They
See, I've only
get,
made two, and I did it without a template box. So like
yeah.
keeping everything shoved in place while I'm trying to stitch the last
Actually,
seam was
actually, to be fair, I just realized what my camera is sitting on right now because when it's on top of the computer, it's too high. So I move it down and put it on a box. It's the 20-pound sheaf box. That's what
perfect.
that's what this is. It says 20 pounds on the other side of it.
Nice.
But I prefer mine over anyone else's. I've used Black Sheaf. I used Clevenger bags. I used tea bags, which are actually of my ones that people make and sell. I think tea bags are good to go right out the box. I think they're awesome. I only used them once at in Mississippi last year, and it was like I think it was fresh. I think it was brand new, and it was good to go. I think I went like 28 or something, pretty easy. Can't argue with that. But let's talk
Uh,
forks. You have an antique head, right? Antique head pitchfork.
yes,
Yeah.
that's all of my forks have all been antique.
See, I think
See,
I
that
think
is,
that's
it's hard to get cavers, but like I can go to a barn sale and I can get pitchfork heads for $5 a pop.
right. I I'm setting on like five of them right now that I'm not doing anything with. They're just there just in
Yeah.
case.
So there's a master thrower in the area that kind of retired from throwing, and they're moving, and so it was like I think $200, and I got a 56, a 49, like a full spool of baling twine, a 28. I think kept the 42. Um, like 4 tubes of tacky, a dozen cans of orange spray, a pair of hammer boots that are way too small. So if anyone needs like a size 8 hammer boot, let me know, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, and then like 7 or 8 pitchforks. They all needed to be cleaned up, but they were all antique forks.
Yeah.
So I think I've gotten rid of, for one way or another, traded or whatever. I think I'm down to the ones I actually use now. But
It's a good come up.
yeah,
Yeah. I like antique pitchforks a lot. The only downside to them is not all of them are good. Especially like if you're like an amateur thrower and you are using a 20-pound bag a lot, some of them are just too light. Some of them would be better
yeah,
suited for like a women's sheaf or a 16. 16s can generally flex into like the 20-pound bag range, but sometimes they just flex too much and you'll lose it really early. You got to like change your whole swing just to get it to go
yeah.
up.
The the fork I used for years, and I just switched last year or a year or two ago, was like you had to be very conservative pulling on a 20-pound bag,
Yeah.
but it could
You
send
really
a
got to
16.
kind of hook it up there just to get it to go up. I know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I,
my new one's got a little bit thicker tines, so it's a
yeah.
little bit better for the 20, which is good. Because I that one was the way that fork was set up. It almost prevented me from driving down on the right side.
Hmm.
Like I'd have a normal backswing, and then I would just kind of sink with gravity down to the low point, and then rip it,
Yeah.
which worked, but I don't think it was ideal.
Right. I The cool thing about sheaf in general is you can make your own bags, and if you're have some time on your hands, like you can make a decent fork that works for you. I've made 3 pitchforks. Gave one to my dad, and I gave 2 away to friends. But the one I use now is a Jonathan Urban boomstick. It They're the best. They're the absolute best fork. If you are in the market for a new fork and don't want to make one yourself, and you don't want to run the risk of getting an antique head that's too light or whatever, and kind of feeling stuck with that, reach out to Jonathan Irvin. He will ignore your messages and he'll put you on a waiting list that may or may not be real. But at some point, you could possibly get some of the best forks in the country, ones that world records are set with. But
Just here's what you do, and this is not verified that it'll work. I just have a hunch that it would help.
okay,
Go to the Sterling Classic,
uh huh,
put put your information with what you want on a note tied to a bottle of whiskey. Give that to Jonathan.
See, I never tried that. Never gave him my specs on a note tied to whiskey. That might have helped. How I got mine, I inherited mine because I got mine from Skylar Arneson, who got his from Dan Tennyson. So like it's gone through like three athletes before it got to me. So sometimes you just gotta,
Seasoned.
yeah, it's well used. It set a lot of PRs and one world record. So she's a good fork.
Yeah.
But again, I'm pretty biased because it works for me very well, but other people can't throw it. Just like I can't pick up anyone else's fork and use theirs. Like they're all very like personal. So that's fun. How do you feel about wob? Because you're a wob throwing machine. Do you have preferences?
It's tricky. Um, I don't think it matters too much as long as it's a ring handle. I've actually thrown wob on a D handle, and that it just doesn't work.
D's are for spinning. If you have a D handle wob, like that thing's meant to be spun.
That maybe that was it. But yeah, because like I've thrown a lot of my PRs, I think, with just a ball.
Mm.
Um, but I think the bell is a better weight for throwing wob.
I would agree.
Really, it needs to be as long as possible without being so long that it causes trouble.
right. See that's why I like the bell because if it's a bell, it's not going to be a small round ball. It's going to be a little bit taller. And again, ideally, it's not going to have any clevises on there. It's just going to be ring to implement, and that's it. That's all the length you need on the handle wise, because anything more than that just is unnecessary. I don't think it helps unless you're spinning wob, and then the longer the better. But
I think
I did throw
a
one in
nice thin handle
Texas.
on there too.
Yeah, thin handle's good. I did throw one in Texas that was like a cake tier. It had three tiers to it, which it gave you all the benefits of the bell, plus an added benefit, which I set. That's what I set my PR on, was this weight because it landed upside down on the bar, to where like the fat tier like caught the bar, and the weight of it just pulled it over, and I was like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's good to go. Like that's a
yeah,
if yeah, because it always like happens all the time. Thing lands on the bar and then just slips off. This like it has to go over. It is a badass 42.
nice. Yeah, yeah. I don't. There's a games that had they're using a 4x4 for the
Hmm.
cross beam,
Yeah,
and someone just landed the weight on it.
that'll do it.
There's like technically it didn't go completely over the bar, but also there's solid evidence that it was high enough.
Right.
So
Yeah. I prefer like a PVC cross piece that'll flex a bunch. It,
yeah, you get
it'll
it flexes in, comes down like 4 feet, and then
yeah
just rolls over.
yeah. I mean
It's so good.
it'll burn you half the time, but other times you're like I needed that flex.
Oh, the just added anxiety throwing height events on a cross beam that's not secured to the uprights.
Yeah. Might as well be a knockoff bar.
Right. Then you get a windy day going.
You're having to like walk in and walk out like you're throwing sheep. You're trying to figure it out.
Just gotta time it right.
All right, let's move on to the because that's all the implements, right? We kind of covered that. What's
Yeah.
how do you feel about this? This is one that I've got a lot to say on. Is a Keltfest versus Ren Fair versus like a Strength Expo.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I have thrown at all of those things,
Yes. What do you
as
prefer?
well as just a backyarder. I'm going to throw that in there too. Um, Celtic Festival.
You like the Celtic Festival?
I feel like the crowd is more engaged at a Celtic Festival than anywhere else.
Okay. I
They're
would say, yeah, on that,
like
I'd say that Celtic festivals, the people coming to see you, or they're coming to the festival and you're there doing your thing, they understand it a little bit better than the average person. So either they've seen it before, or they're really into like their Scottish heritage and stuff like that. So like they've read a thing or seen videos on it before. It's not completely new to them. That's a benefit.
people at a strength festival or the Renaissance Festival will come and watch, and they might, they'll have a good time watching whatever. Almost no one is going there to watch
Mm,
the Highland Games. Whereas the Celtic Festival, there will be a percentage, not everyone,
yeah,
definitely not everyone, but there will be a percentage of people that are coming specifically to watch the Highland Games.
right. Yeah, I do like a good like Celtic festival, Scottish, Irish festival, because generally they're put together pretty well as far as like festivals go. Like they've got all the bits and bobs together, and it's well done, and the crowds appreciate what we're doing and they understand it. Strength expos, I most people at strength expos don't know who we are or what we're doing, but they kind of get it. They get we're doing an odd thing because if there's like people who do strongman there, they're like, yeah, this is some weird shit that we do, kind of. So like, it's
It,
related.
it's a different atmosphere though, and unless you're somewhere like the Arnold, a lot of times the strength expo thing, like, the vast majority of the crowd is still relatives of athletes.
Sure.
So
Well,
they're kind of there to watch whoever they're there to watch. They might also watch you,
yeah,
and you're kind of all doing the same similar thing. And there's like kind of like, you get it as a strength sport.
yeah.
So there's kind of that there, but
I'm comparing it to like when I went to, I think it was Fort Worth. They had FitCon, which is like a big fitness convention. It's not really a strength expo, but it's just more of like a they had powerlifting, bodybuilding, strongman people there doing like their little TED talks and stuff, and every
uh,
energy drink vendor on the planet had a booth there and was giving out free drinks.
which, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but are you aware of the news that Rain is discontinued?
What?
Yeah,
That's okay. That's news to me. I recently just switched back to regular White Monster and I'm off Rain because it was I realized I was not using caffeine. I was abusing caffeine. It
oh, for sure.
like I wasn't using it for a purpose. Like I just kind of like oh, it's 3 o'clock, time to have my rain, and then go do nothing with it.
That's First of all, that's way too late. There's no reason for any canned beverage to have 300 milligrams of caffeine in
No,
it.
after being off them, then like having one, I was like, oh, like I'm fucking wired. Like this is kind of a lot.
You know,
But like that's from a guy who would drink like at a minimum 2 rains a day for years, and now that I've just kind of been drinking coffee and White Monster, not even that often. I mean, coffee every day, but White Monster like maybe twice a week. When I have a rain, it was too much. So I mean, I guess good for them. And Celsius is bad too. Whatever the hell they put in there is got to be poison.
the the Celsius and rainstorm. I don't know what it makes me feel. haunted.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how else to describe it. It's not good.
No, I know. I never had that with Rainstorm. Rainstorm always felt like just like a different flavor of White Monster. And like it just wasn't. It didn't feel like a lot. But the Celsius is all were always just like, yeah, make you feel haunted. Like, yeah, there's something's kind of like in you and behind you, like at all times, and
Yeah.
you can't shake it. You're like, I'm gonna have some water, maybe
My
flush this out. It just
soul
fuels the
is no
fire.
longer the right my soul is no longer the right size for my body.
Yep.
Like
Yeah. That, and people have said like they found like amphetamines and stuff in Celsius, and I think that's just TikTok nonsense. But it it's not good.
no.
Well, here's my biggest issue with Celsius, a little energy drink rant. Caffeine has a taste. Caffeine has like that little bit of like a weird bitey kind of burn to it. Red Bull's morphed it into like, that having that caffeine flavor taste good. Celsius couldn't figure it out, and so it always just gave me heartburn, and
Mm.
just because of the caffeine like flavoring in there. But I don't know why Red Bull can't figure out how to get rid of it altogether because Monster can. Like, you ever tasted the caffeine in a Monster? No, doesn't exist, but it's there.
I don't
But
remember what you were
no,
talking about now.
yeah,
But
that at the FitCon
Expo,
in
yeah.
yeah in Fort Worth, they had all the energy drinks there, and I drank a shit ton. It was like 105 degrees that day, and we were on a plateau overlooking this festival, which was actually a pretty badass view because like we were like way high up and like overlooking the entire festival. The festival could not see us at all, but by the end of the day, I'm out of water, and I've been out of water. I got a headache so bad. I stumbled down these like rickety stairs down to the expo, and I go to like the Celsius booth because that was the closest one to us. And I'm looking like half dead, like kind of leaning on their counter. And they're like, "Well, what can we get you?" Like these nice ladies. And I was like, "I don't know, something, anything that's cold." And they're like, "You want a lot of caffeine or a little caffeine?" I'm like, "I've already had a lot, so maybe a little." And I didn't know they had levels to Celsius because I've never noticed it. But that was the only beverage. There was no water in sight. It was just energy drinks or egg white protein premixed like protein drinks. That was all they had. But
Perfect.
so yeah, I'm surprised I made it through the
That
day.
checks out.
But the reason I like strength expos and things like that is because we are related in a way to these other sports, and people will soon recognize that. And everything I do, it's to make the sport grow, get it bigger, get more eyes on it, more eyes with deeper pockets to fund what we're doing. And you don't get that at Ren fairs. You get that at strength expos. You really don't get that at Celtic fairs either. My least favorite of all of these is obviously Ren fairs. I've talked a little bit before about Ren fairs and how I'm not a fan. Not necessarily of Ren fairs in general. I think they can be kind of fun. I've gone to them like not as a Highland Games athlete and just as like a Ren Fairy type thing. Not a bad
Mhm.
experience. They're all pretty much the same all across the country. I've gone to them in Kansas, California, Minnesota. They're fine. The problem is I don't like that the people there who've never seen Highland Games before see us throwing. We're athletes. We treat ourselves as athletes. We lift weights, we recover, we eat a bunch or a little, depending on our goals, right? But like the whole thing is to throw far. Like we are no different than really any other athlete as far as like mindset goes. And then they turn around and then they see the people who are doing like fake jousting and like fake sword fighting. I say fake sword fighting and fake jousting because most Renaissance festivals in the United States are not doing full contact anything. This isn't like that armored knight Russian fight league that they have. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It is it is very cool,
That's wild.
and
Yeah.
I love the fact that they have like real armor and like real padding on inside the helmets stuff like that because people don't realize this that like metal like when you see like a metal helmet in a museum from like the Middle Ages or whatever it's like it's just a metal tin can. there was fabric in there. There was a fucking pillow in there, because getting cracked on the head with a sword on your helmet will knock you the fuck out unless you have like padding in there, and they did. And so these guys, these Russian guys, or Ukrainian, where the hell this was at, they have like real armor and real gloves, and it all is like historically accurate because we're not making better suits of armor. Like they already figured that out a long time ago, and we're just kind of doing it again, which is very neat. They're not doing that at Renaissance festivals in the United States. It's all just we're going to come in here, do this little slash, and you're going to block it, and then we're going to get out close and like, and then you throw me, and it's all very choreographed. It's not athletics,
Yeah.
and it is a fake thing. And what we're doing is not a fake thing, and people get confused. The guys walk around with their elf ears and their little satchels and things like that. They don't understand that what we're doing is different than what they're doing. And I don't like to have to explain that to people.
But as far as jousting goes, I think how in the early mid 2000s,
Hmm.
like jousting started to make a comeback in the United States.
Yes. Because the Knight's Tale.
Well, likely. So, like when I first started going to Renaissance festivals when I was early high school, like, you could watch actual jousting. Like they're full tilt breaking lances on each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is now illegal in most states.
To be fair, I mean that actually, I mean the sword fighting is very choreographed, but like when they actually do jousting, like full contact jousting, that is mostly real. There is a bit of they're not trying to win; they're trying to put on a show. As like
Right.
as opposed to like in the Middle Ages, they were trying to win, right? And it could result in death. What they're doing now, even when it's full contact jousting at Renaissance festivals, no one's going to. Someone's likely not going to die because it's set up in a way so no one gets hurt, right? But
Well, and like I said,
compare,
most states now you cannot do full contact joust. Like you can't actually joust.
right? And
They've
that's a bummer
they've
for
passed
people
one of
that
the
want to
laws
do it.
against it, which is too bad.
Yeah, it's a bummer for people that want to
It
do it.
is.
But my comparison is that we are doing Highland Games just like they did in 1810. Right? We're throwing things in a specific order. Like we're doing that. We're not softening it
Right.
up or cheapening it in any way, shape, or form. So that's where like the discrepancy is. Like I want them to know that we are like this isn't a fantasy thing. We're wearing kilts, and for some reason, and I don't know why, people associate kilts with Renaissance festivals. I don't know why they're connected. But then again, also I don't know why elves are connected to Renaissance festivals. They just are. I don't. But I don't want to talk shit on Renaissance
Yeah.
festivals because here's the bottom line with them. As of right now, for all the Highland Games that are at them, that's a venue that has been willing to put up money and insurance and space for us to do a thing, and you can't discount that. Whether I think this is the best place for us to be is it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that like they're actually someone has decided to put us up, and that's huge, and we have to thank them for that. But
Absolutely.
if I were commander of the universe and had a magic wand and would say, "Hey, Renaissance festivals are gone," sorry, Highland Games at Renaissance festivals are gone. I want Renaissance Festival to be there because like they can be really really fun, and just
So,
some of the kookiest shit you see there, man, it's great.
it's a fourth option that doesn't come up very often,
Hmm.
but should more so is I actually went up. It was in South Dakota. There's a Renaissance, or not a Renaissance. There's Highland Games attached to a barbecue festival.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah, it was great. And then last year I ended up missing it, but the state pork board
Hmm.
sponsored a rib fest at just a local church here. And so instead of like the like big fancy rib fest that was downtown, it was, as far as I could tell, it was like $5 for a ticket to get in. If you wanted to enter the rib contest,
Yeah.
your, the team entry fee was like 50 or $100.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the ribs were either subsidized or provided by the pork board, and they just had their own rib fest that the entry for the public was almost nothing,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure you didn't have to pay for the ribs
And they had a
once
Highland
you were
Games
in.
just there.
No, this is a separate thing.
Oh,
Um, but if you're looking for a way to like bring in some other stuff to a games you're gonna put on, maybe reach out to your local pork board.
yeah. So this is something I talked about with Jerry Reynolds, and he's like, you create a box, whatever you want your event to be, and you get as much stuff in there into that fits in this box that will please a crowd. So like he had like everyone come out on the field and like do like Highland dancing and things like that, just as a special thing to do to get people like engaged. And if eating ribs have like a rib eating contest or like a smoking contest attached to it to get people in the door, it works. Which is why I can't say no Highland Games ever at Renaissance festivals because like we fit in the box somehow and they fit in our box as of right now.
That being said, like if I would have very mixed feelings if I went to a games and they provided lunch and it was ribs.
I mean,
Like
yeah,
ribs
mixed
are
feelings.
great.
Mixed feelings is right. Yeah,
Like ribs are great, but also maybe not in the middle of throwing, and my hands are gonna be gross.
yeah. I need the baby wipes.
Both before and after.
Yeah. I mean, what's also not on this list is like backyarders.
Yeah, and I talked about like I don't.
I think I
It's
think
a
we need
different thing.
I think we need more backyarders in general. They're much easier to do than a festival or a full blown Highland Games, and there's a caveat to that. Like if you're doing a backyarder, make it real. like d- don't just go to like your local park. It has like the biggest hill and take 10 attempts or whatever just because you can because no one's there. That's abusive. Don't do that. But like get 20 people together in your area and put together like a light Highland Games. That's better. Because to be fair, like if you're going to one of those, chances are you're not the one who's trying to earn positions at championships and things like that. So, all right. So we're coming up on time. That's it. Do the things like comment, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm. We're trying to grow the sport. So send it to a friend.
Sign up,
Uh, yeah. Do all the things.
sign up for the games you're thinking about, and you
Yeah.
keep putting it off. Go ahead
Do,
and get
do
yourself
that.
registered.
Yeah. Because there's no better time than now to just sign up. Right. Okay. Thanks. As always, throw far. God bless. And then I